we learned how to write essays, but not how to manage anxiety. We learned about the human body, but almost nothing about the brain that controls all of it. So today I want to share the things I genuinely wish every single person learned before leaving high school, because understanding your mind might be one of the most important life skills you'll ever have. And this is why I love doing workshops on positive psychology in high schools, because of this exact episode. Hi everyone, welcome back to Her Happy Mind. I'm using my master's in positive psychology to teach you that happiness isn't luck, it's science. And I have spent years of researching, building my capstone around emotional intelligence for educators and students and young adults around their mental well-being. And one thing that I've realized is that most of us aren't struggling because we're weak. We're struggling because nobody taught us how our minds actually work. So today you're getting a free lesson. So let's talk about the lessons I wish every school taught us before we became adults. And that's one of my life missions, is to have a class of emotional intelligence in every high school in North America, so these young teens are better prepared for their crazy, beautiful future ahead. Let's start with one of the biggest misconceptions. Most people think they're doing something wrong because happiness doesn't come naturally to them. But here's the truth, the honest truth. Your brain was never designed to make you happy. It was designed to keep you alive. And when I say this, so many students and educators that I talk to, they feel like there's just a weight off their shoulder of like, finally, it's not a me problem, it's an evolution problem where, our ancestors were always looking for danger and being cautious of painful experience that they witnessed, and always anticipated these worst case scenarios. And the people that paid more attention to threats survived the longest to pass down their genes. And that's why we're here today, because our ancestors were the most fearful, anxious ones, the ones that were worrying about predators. And that's why we're here today, because they got through it. However, that survival system still exists today without all the dangers that we used to have. Only instead of worrying about predators, your brain worries about emails, deadlines, money, relationship, social media, what someone thought of you on a picture or your story, whether you embarrassed yourself in a conversation 3 days ago, right? Or the presentation you just had. Your brain doesn't really know the difference between physical threat and social threats. And that's why one negative comment can outweigh 100 positive ones. And that's why criticism sticks. That's why rejection hurts. That's why I tell people that we're not broken, we're human. And understanding that in itself really takes that mental load off of us to truly understand that, okay, wait, our minds were just wired to be negative. And so you've maybe caught yourself thinking, I'm going to fail, nobody likes me, everyone's judging me, I don't have enough followers, I'll never be successful. Here's something I wish someone had told me years and years ago: just because you think something doesn't make it true. So good. Our brains make thousands and thousands of thoughts every single day, and many of them are automatic. Many of them are biased. Many of them are in our subconscious mind that we don't even know are happening. And psychologists call this cognitive distortions, which is thinking patterns that twist our reality. So that black and white thinking that, oh, I can read minds, or I know what they're thinking, or that fortune telling future, or, you send a message and they don't reply, they reply in like 6 hours, and your brain automatically goes, they must be mad at me. What did I say? Maybe they're not into me anymore. But the reality is literally their phone could have died. They're working, they're napping, they're living just their own life. Maybe it's their non-social media day. So our brains love filling in missing information, usually with the worst case scenario, the worst possible outcome. And so learning to question your thoughts instead of believing everything that goes inside of your brain is one of the healthiest skills you can develop. As much as we think we are the smartest person ever, right? We have this confidence, especially in high school, are trying to keep us safe. And sometimes it does give us misleading information or does put thoughts in our mind that should never be there. So always question your thoughts. And sometimes I think to myself, I'm just like, okay, stop, just stop thinking. Like, this is it's not going anywhere and you're just making this worse. So instead of asking this, is this thought true? Try asking, is there another explanation for what's going on? And that one question has the power to completely change your emotional state in that instant. So for example, one of my friends, she was going on a first date and the person she was on a date with was 10 minutes late. And her instant reaction was, he set me up, he's not into me anymore, he must have saw something online that he didn't like, and he was just like, I'm not coming. And literally does show up to the date 10 minutes or 11 minutes late now. So when he showed up, he had flowers. He's like, sorry, I was late. I was buying you flowers, but I didn't want to text you that I was buying you flowers, but I should have texted you that I was running late, blah, blah, blah. They had an amazing date. And it just made her think like, wow, I always think negative. And it's not like she always thinks negative. I reminded her like our brains just go there. And so think like, what are other predictions of why this person might be late, or why I'm feeling this way, or why this person may not reply back. Okay, so lesson 2 was your thoughts are not facts. Lesson 3 is confidence doesn't actually come before action. This one changed my life. And people always say, I'll do it when I feel confident, especially when you're in those teenage years and you're in that like stage of where like you're awkward and you don't know what's going on and you're trying things for the first time and you're talking to guys or girls and you're just like, okay, like this is all new to me. And if people just told that to high school students or had a lesson or a workshop where you have to do things before you feel confident, because neuroscience tells us confidence actually comes after that action. Like think about riding a bike or going swimming, or most of them are going to be getting their driver permits and giving an oral presentation or going to the gym or going to check out their colleges or, universities. Nobody feels confident the first time. Confidence is evidence that your brain is collecting. And so if you keep collecting good evidence, or if you keep doing things that your brain's like, wait, I'm actually good at this, like let's keep going to practice, your brain then builds these records. It's right, creating neuron pathways in our brains that every time you do something uncomfortable, your brain updates its predictions and say like, okay, that was uncomfortable, but I also had fun. Like that was uncomfortable, but it was fun meeting this person or doing that activity, because maybe this wasn't as like dangerous as I thought. And that creates that neuroplasticity in your brain, where your brain literally rewires it through that experience. So it stops waiting to feel ready. And because ready isn't a feeling, it's something you build, your brain then puts you in more of these situations. Or when you do put yourself in more of these situations, your brain kind of feels less anxious, but at the same time, you just get used to those anxious feelings. An example with my Her Happy Mind Instagram page, I didn't feel ready to create that, especially going through my master's. I'm like, I'm not ready. When I done my master's, when I blah, 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 blah. But then now I'm like, I'm so happy I started it during my master's. So people who followed me from the very beginning saw me studying, saw me researching, saw me put all this effort in. And then now I don't feel as shy posting or sharing or doing all these things, because I've done it so many times. My brain's like, okay, like she's good. Lesson 4 is comparison is one of the biggest happiness killers. And I want to talk about social media, especially for young adults, high schoolers out there. Social media, we can't deny it, is a huge part of our life right now. We have literally something clinging to our phone or our back pocket 24/7. And without noticing, sometimes we do compare ourselves without even realizing it. We spend hours comparing our behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. And I still do that. And I train my brain every single day. So it doesn't get easier. We just have to be we get more aware. And so someone gets engaged, someone gets into a college program, someone starts traveling the world, someone gets their dream car that their parents got to them, or they got on honors, and suddenly your life feels smaller. And that's where it becomes a problem, because comparison doesn't just steal your joy, it changes your perception. So here we go. Your brain starts believing that everyone else is further ahead than you, but in reality, you're comparing yourself to carefully selected moments in people's specific days. No one posts their panic attack. No one posts the nights they cried themselves to sleep. No one posts their heartbreaks. No one posts their arguments. No one posts the failures. No one posts their pimply face or their braces or their loneliness, or, comparison gives us this incomplete information, and our brain treats it like a full story. And sometimes I get really angry at my brain, because I'm like, how How, like, I'm working so hard on keeping you happy, and you are constantly trying to look in other directions of being like, but this person has this, or this person did this, or this person did this. And I'm here like taking a day off and I'm watching my favorite series or I'm reading my favorite book. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't rest because, you know, this person just got promoted or this person's getting engaged and I need to find a partner. But our brain is constantly trying to take in other people's information and either make us feel like crap about it or make us feel good about it because we're like, oh wow, at least we don't have that person's life. But both doesn't mean bring us joy or happiness. Having a higher ego and then not believing yourself is both the worst case scenario. You want to be so content with yourself and understand that when you look on social media, and this is one of the workshops that I give to my high school students, when you look on social media, different tips and tricks that you can realize that, okay, yes, they have a beautiful life here, but what are some things that I could also ask myself? How many photos did they take of themselves before they posted this photo? How much makeup did they have to put on before they took this photo? How much, we need to start asking different questions other than we just think it's a real highlight story, which it is, especially for young girls. It's just so damaging for our beauty standards, the influencers out there, the models out there. It's still to this day, it's not a great playground for teenage girls. And I think the social media age should be not 13. It should be maybe 16 when our brains are fully developed and once we understand ourselves a little bit more, because our brains are like jello and it's just soaking up everything. And if we're constantly negative or comparing ourselves, we are going to grow up and have those constant thoughts without even realizing where they came from, but it started in high school. Number 5, relationships predict happiness more than success. If there's one study everyone should know, it's the Harvard study of adult development. And researchers found or followed people for more than 80 years. It was the longest longitude study. And they measured careers, money, health, marriage, friendships. They studied someone's life satisfaction, their whole environment, the community, everything. And what they found, it wasn't wealth, it wasn't fame, it wasn't someone's IQ level. The strongest predictor of both physical and mental health was the quality of people's relationships. Healthy, asterisk, healthy relationships, supportive families, loving partners, community. We often chase success thinking it'll make us happier. But this research study shows, and other research study shows, that meaningful relationships are one of the greatest investments we can make. So maybe instead of asking ourselves, how can I make more money, or what program I want to get into, or what will my parents think of me if I want to do something that makes me happy, because that too, do what you want to do. Ask yourself too, who am I investing my time with? And if I'm specifically talking to high school students right now, your vibe attracts your tribe, and who you hang out with in high school can really affect your future. Because if you're hanging out with people that bring you down, that are not kind, that are not supportive, who criticize or don't give you the best version of yourself, parents need to maybe have a little bit more control of this, of hey, maybe supporting other friend groups, or putting them in more clubs, or putting them in extracurricular activities so they can see different types of friends, different friendships. And we've all been there where we've had friends where we're like, why was I friends with this person? But it also, if you can get out of that friendship and then look from years later, you'd be so grateful that you had that friendship or you had these situations in your life. High school friendships are so important because they are a catalyst to what you do future in your life. If you have that passion of hey, I want to be a pharmacist, or hey, I want to travel the world. I want to get outside of my small town, because I grew up in a very small town. A lot of the times people stay in the small town, which is fine. But I remember when I said, I want to travel the world. I want to do this. I wanted my first work experience to be abroad, international, all these things. Thank God I had a twin sister, because if I was talking to some of my friends, they'd be like, why do you want to do all these things? Isn't your life good? Isn't your life just good enough? And it's no, I want my life to be extraordinary. And so having different friends with different perspectives are so important. I feel I might have to do an episode just on friendships and understanding them and how to go through them, because losing a friendship in high school can be it feels like you're dying. That's really, again, because of our old rewiring. If you did not get along with your tribe or your community and they exiled you, you literally would die by yourself, because living back then was a communal effort. And so that's why we still have that old program. So that's why we still lose friends or friendships or even relationships, especially our first love and all of that. Oh my God, I do need to make another episode of this. That's why I can feel like such a loss and a grieving process, because of that old rewiring, that if we left our tribe thousands of years ago, we would die. Lesson 6, your brain is always changing. This might be one of my favorite lessons, and it's because we're not stuck. From years, scientists have believed that our brain stopped changing in adulthood, but now we know that's not true. So thanks to neuroplasticity, your brain is constantly forming new natural pathways every day, every year of your life, and every habit you repeat, every skill you practice, every thought you strengthen, physically, mentally, anything, it's changing your brain. And that's why I post those neuron videos on my page. That's why I do workshops and I show these videos of the brain working and wiring and firing together, because I want students and I want people to understand that your brain is not fixed and you're building it every single day. One thought, one habit, one choice at a time. And as a high school student, sometimes we live in our own bubbles. We think that the life is only high school and we can't imagine life without it, right? That's just the brain that we're at. But if you show them this is the inside of your brain working, like if you showed how a heart was working or how your lungs were working, you appreciate it a lot more and you take care of something that you understand a lot more, right? If you understand about your hair health, then you're gonna take care of your health more. If you know more about gut health, and that's one, if your gut is unhealthy, your mind, it's linked to mental health. So once we understand more, we can do more and be more aware. Again, we know all these things about Pythagorean theorems and algebra, but no one has taught us about our brain connection. Lesson number 7, happiness is a skill. So again, telling the high school students that this is probably gonna be a big takeaway from everything that I've studied. People often think, high schools often have that negative mindset as well. Life's against me, right? When I have bad with skin or friends, but we often think that once I have things, once I get the labubu, once I get the perfect relationship, the perfect body, the perfect skin, the perfect Instagram post, the perfect followers, I will be happy. But positive psychology tells us something totally different. Happiness isn't just a destination. It's a collection along your destination of daily habits of gratitude, movement, sleep, purpose, positive connections, kindness, community, optimism, sunshine, healthy whole foods, rest. All of these habits strengthen our pathways in your brain that support well-being, which can be hard for teenagers. I'm not going to lie. You're trying to get them to sleep, but they have to wake up super early. And usually in that brain, we go to bed later, we wake up early. And so even like the whole school system should be changed around a little bit for how our brains are actually wired. But that's a whole other topic. But sometimes high school students are like literally fighting against these habits because it's just their brains are just overcome with academics and all these different pressures. But happiness isn't about predicting that life is perfect. It's about training your brain to notice what's already good while still working towards what can be better. Got a 68% on my math exam, but I got a tutor. And the next one I'm going to do be better. So you're not going to just like, oh, I got 68, like, F it. I'm not good at math, right? I was never that person good at math. And I had a math and English tutor pretty much like many years of my high school experience, even elementary. I was a late reader. And so it wasn't like, oh, we just give up. It was like, okay, how can I get better? And so it could be, okay, I had a crappy night's sleep. I'm going to go to bed early tonight. Or I said something mean to my friend. Okay, I'm going to go up to her and apologize in person tomorrow. Or maybe I'll have to have a few group talks and being like, hey, I know how I behaved. It's not what I want to behave. Let me be better. So having those conversations and self-awareness and having a journal. I'm such a keen person on journaling. It's so important. So honestly, yeah, if I could go back and talk to my 16-year-old self, I wouldn't tell her to be prettier or to be stronger because I was like that strong, fit athlete in high school, or to worry about math or English. I would tell her that your brain is trying to protect you. It's not sabotaging you. Your thoughts aren't always true. Confidence comes from courage and trying different things, and comparing yourself is stealing more from you than failure ever will. And stay close to the relationships that you have. And I'm so glad that I did. And your brain is changing every single day. So If school honestly taught us these lessons, I honestly believe we would have healthier relationships, lower anxiety in our students, more resilient students, and a much kinder relationship between themselves and their community around them. And that's the good news. It's because you didn't learn it in high school doesn't mean you can't learn it now. So maybe you're listening now and you're not in high school, you're a mom, you're a grandparent, whatever it is. That's exactly why I created this channel. And it's exactly why I built the Build Your Happy Mind app on studio.com. It's to help people understand how their brains work and give them those practical science-backed tools to build healthier habits, stronger resilience, and lasting well-being, because it's not taught in high school. So I'm trying to teach that now through my app. And so if this resonated with you, love for you to, one, drop in the comments, what is one thing you wish someone had taught you before adulthood or you in high school? So leave it in the comments or send me a private DM on Instagram. I read them all. And who knows, it might inspire me for a future episode. And if you did enjoy this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it to someone that may need to hear it. Maybe you know someone in high school or coming out of high school or going to high school. And remember, your brain is always changing, and that means your future isn't fixed. So keep building your happy mind, one thought, one habit, one day at a time. And I'll see you on the next episode. Bye, everyone.